Hello there, and welcome back to At You and I. My name is Luke Wingert, and I'll be your host today as we explore the related worlds of comic books and role-playing. In this episode, we are going to have three special guests. First up is Mike Blanchard, the longtime owner of the comic book shop named The Core Comics and Games, which is located right here in Cedar Falls. And in the second half of our show, we will be joined by Megan Gilchrist and Steph Nice, two players in the classic role-playing game Dungeons & Dragons. Thank you for joining us today, Mike.
Thank you for having me.
So first off, who or what first inspired or piqued your interest into comic books?
Well, my dad was a comic book reader. So ever since I can remember, he had hundreds and hundreds of comic books. So at age 2 years old, I was looking at comic books and creating my own comic books at age 4, and just grew up loving the art form.
It's awesome. And how long has Core and Comics been around?
Well, we opened up the store. It wasn't the Core at the time, but in 1988, I came down and helped a gentleman open the store, and then I ended up buying the store in 1999 and changing the name.
That's awesome. Can you tell us about like your clientele, either like the customers, your target audience, anything like that?
Well, back when we first opened in 1988, it was kind of half and half. Half of our clientele was under the age of 16, and half of our clientele was over the age of 16. Today, a good share of our clientele, probably 75%, is above college age.
Okay. And there's a rumor that you met your wife at Core?
Yes. She was a customer coming in, and she was a Wolverine reader.
Yeah.
And I kind of changed her reading habits and showed her some of the more mature reader comics like Sandman, written by Neil Gaiman and whatnot, and we ended up getting married. It was that simple.
That's awesome. Sometimes it just happens like
just
that.
Happens.
Yeah. Can you tell us about Stan Lee meeting the creator of Marvel and just like that iconic person?
Oh, well, I've met Stan Lee 5 times. 4 of those times was before he was world renowned by the general population. Mm-hmm. So it was very easy to meet him back in the day. Last time I met him was we had a private meeting up in his hotel room, and he signed about 20 items of mine, and it was a nice time. Stan Lee is exactly how you think he is. A very, very outgoing and wonderful person he was.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yep. But if you could read one comic series for the rest of your life, what would you have to pick? That might be a tough question.
No, not at all. I'm asked that all the time. Actually, my favorite comic books of all time are the Uncle Scrooge and Donald Duck comics of the 1950s. They were written by a creator called Carl Barks, and he wrote these incredible adventure comics involving Uncle Scrooge. And he created Uncle Scrooge McDuck, and the DuckTales stories are loosely based on his stories from the 1950s. But Steven Spielberg and George Lucas were highly influenced by those comics and have stated that in interviews. In fact, the Indiana Jones first movie, direct things from that movie were taken right out of those Uncle Scrooge comic books.
Wow, it all just comes down from Uncle Scrooge.
Yep. Yes, it does.
Yeah, but what were, like most businesses in the area at the moment, like what were some of the challenges that your company faced specifically during the COVID-19 pandemic?
Oh boy, we weren't closed a single day. We have wonderful customers. They were there to support us. The one thing it did was it immediately kicked our butts into fixing up our website. And we've been meaning to do that for 5 years, and within 2 weeks we had our website redesigned and had numerous products on there to sell. And we've been doing just fine.
That's awesome. You mentioned earlier that the store has been open for 33 years. What does Core do that makes it stand out versus like other comic book stores?
Well, we are told, I don't want to toot my own horn really, but we are told quite a bit that we're one of the best comic shops in Iowa, that people who frequent different comic book stores. I would hope that is because of our customer service. A lot of people come in and say, this store isn't at all like the store on The Big Bang Theory. No, it's not. That's not how we are. Like I say, we have plenty of female customers, It's all has to do with customer service and carrying a wide variety of products and whatnot.
That's amazing. Now let's take a look at a clip of the core to gain some more insight about the local comic book store.
I hate the term nerd and geek and stuff like that, because when I was growing up, that was derogatory names, you know. I would much rather be a aficionado, you know, just because you like something. I mean, if because you like great art and you like great stories, you're referred to as a geek or a nerd. Well, you know, what about people who do nothing but watch sports nonstop? Would they be sports nerds then? Would they be sports geeks? You know, it's what was the question again? I am Mike Blanchard, owner of The Core Comics and Games. We have been here in Cedar Falls for 33 years. Originally, I'm from Mason City, and the gentleman that had the comic shop there called Oakleaf Comics. And I was one of his very first customers when he was just selling comics out of his basement, and known him for many years. And he wanted to open up a store here in Cedar Falls and asked me if I wanted to run it for him. Back then, the malls used to be filled with stores and people, and they would always have comic and card shows inside the mall. And he did plenty of shows down here during those time, and did well in selling items and so forth, and would just ask everybody if they would appreciate a store down here, and it was unanimous with all of the customers at the malls that would purchase stuff from him. So it was a different time. You know, there was no internet back then, and there were a lot of comic shops at that time all over. It was funny. We were promoting quite a bit that comics just weren't for kids anymore. Because there were a lot of, at that point in the mid-'80s, they started producing more comics that were PG, PG-13, R-rated, stuff like that, that appealed more to adults. Today, we try to tell people that there's still comics for kids. They're not all for adults, because most of the comics written today are for the college age on up. You know, we've always heard, way back from the 1950s, the death of the comic book. Comic books aren't going to last. You know, they used to burn comic books back in the 50s, have big bonfires, because comic books were the cause of all juvenile delinquency, they decided. And they thought that was the end. Numerous comic companies had to close down and whatnot, and then there was a resurgence in the early 60s with Marvel. I can't tell you what's going to happen, because, again, it's been doom and gloom for years, saying the whole, you know, paper and comic books and anything like that was going to disappear, and right now it's actually thriving better than ever. We're doing better in comic book sales today than we probably were 6 years ago. We do Free Comic Book Day, although we didn't do it last year because of this, and not sure we're going to do it this year. I don't know if you've heard about that or not. That's a nationwide or worldwide. This is the 20th year, actually, where we get 5,000 people on that one day come in and get free comic books, which we have to pay for. Some people don't understand that when we tell them, you know, only 3-4 comics per person. But we fill it up with, we have cosplayers. A lot of them customers of mine dress up, and we'll have at least a dozen out here. And I tell you what, to see the smiles on these kids, because they believe Superman is real. They believe Harley Quinn is real. Captain America. One little girl who was probably 3 years old, I saw her make a dash, run it from across the street, and literally tackle our Captain America, and just squeezed and hugged him for 2 minutes. And I asked her dad, I said, why is this? And he says, I don't know. She likes Captain America, and she stayed with him for a half hour just holding his hand. It was really just awesome. we don't sit here and read comic books all day. See people, oh, I wish I had your job. I wish I had time to sit down and read comic books or play games. You know, there's no time for that.
In general, why should people care about comics and collectibles and stuff within pop
Oh, because
culture?
it's just great fun. And, it's, you know, you like good stories, like great stories, like artwork.
Well, that's our all ages section, which has comic books and for young and old alike. That's a small section of our New This Week wall, which changes every Wednesday. We get upwards to 75 to 100 new comics every week, comic series.
I like those old Batman ones. That was a cool one.
There is some back issue comic books from a recent collection we purchased and have out for sale. Of course, Funko Pops are hugely popular right now. We carry a full line of paints, although we're pretty low on them because so many people have gotten into painting during the last year. And of course, we carry every type of dice, color and size and shape for gamers, Dungeons and Dragons, and so on.
That's a lot for the store to offer. Anything else specifically with it?
Oh, we carry a huge variety of board games. Board games, role-playing games, card games like Pokemon, Magic the Gathering. We carry the largest selection of comic books and graphic novels in Iowa. Action figures, statues, stuff like that, yeah.
A lot of variety,
Big variety
at the store. That looks super cool. Your store looks like a fun place to visit. Up next, we're going to continue to talk to Mike about comic books, but first, an important public service announcement.
Every year, millions of working American families and their children hide their struggle with hunger. But just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. With over 72 billion pounds of food going to waste each year, it doesn't need to be that way. Feeding America is a network of 200 food banks, 60,000 food pantries, and 2 million volunteers. We work with farmers, retailers, and manufacturers to get people the food they need. Hunger hides, but we can help. Let's end hunger in America.
Welcome back to At You and I. We were talking to local comic book store owner Mike Blanchard. So Mike, what's something you wish you known before starting your comic book store?
Oh, I wish I had taken a couple classes in accounting, but I've learned along the way. And really, it's all about personality and customer service. And I was in the customer service business for 8 years before I came to the store. So
With tax season, I might have the same problem rolling around as well.
Exactly.
But how did you feel about the comic book industry and like all its popularity? And it seems like it's growing right now. What do you think about that?
Oh boy, with all the movies, who would have thought? I remember when the first Batman movie came out in 1989. We were the only store in Cedar Falls, Waterloo that had Batman items. believe it or not. Nobody knew what to think of this new Batman movie back then. And from there it went to The Crow with Brandon Lee. And that brought in tons of people. And of course now it's nonstop. And it's taken over the whole movie industry.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, you definitely see it. Me personally, I'm a big Batman fan.
Sure.
So I can never watch.
Just about everybody is.
Yeah. So I can watch just about as much Batman as one person can. But let's take another quick break and listen to another public service announcement.
Six, 7, 8, 9.
Take my hand.
No, Alex. It's fine, isn't it? I'm not naughty. I'm autistic. And I just get too much information.
What a good message. To wrap up the first half of the show, Mike, where can people find the Corps?
We are in Cedar Falls, 1926 Valley Park Drive.
Perfect. Thank you for your time, Mike. We hope to see you again in the future. Up next, we'll have two players with the hit role-playing game Dungeons & Dragons. But first, here's another movie minute.
I'm Hunter Friesen, film critic for the Northern Iowan, and this is your Movie Minute. I'm not a lamb, I'm a lioness, says Marla Grayson as she opens the newest Netflix movie, I Care a Lot, a part social satire, part crime thriller.
I am a fucking lioness.
This is the blackest black comedy out there. There is not one single nice character, and not one nice deed is done here. It's 2 hours of theft, manipulation, and in some cases, murder.
Hello, Marla Grayson. I don't like you.
You only just met me. There's two types of people in this world. Predators.
Writer-director Jay Blakeson treats the retirement care industry as a crime ring as Marla exploits the system we are complicit in. She's a legal guardian for the elderly who swoops in and secures their assets for herself and ships them off to a glorified daycare. It's a grueling process that becomes harder to watch as time goes on, which is exactly the point. You hate Marla, no matter how great Rosamund Pike is in the lead role, for which she won a Golden Globe for Best Comedy. And you just wanted her to be stopped. The film succeeds in shining a light on the societal problem, while also allowing the viewer to have some fun along the way.
I will grab your dick and balls, and I will rip them clean off.
The second half is inferior to the first as it veers more into a crime thriller and trades that satirical bite for conventional plotting. Even then, this film is a scathing educational satire of the American retirement care system and an entertaining journey into the criminal underworld. I Care a Lot is available on Netflix, and I'm giving it a score of 7 out of 10.
Welcome back. We are now joined by Megan Gilchrist and Steph Nace. Thank you for joining us today. Have a seat. Wow. Awesome costumes. I like the little Wolverine
Thank you. They're actually pens.
Pens right there. So I guess to start off, how long have the both of you been playing Dungeons & Dragons?
I've personally been playing Dungeons & Dragons for about 3 or 4 years now.
Okay.
I've only personally played for a few months or so.
Okay, but looks like you've gotten right into it in these few
yeah.
months. What role specifically have you both taken for playing Dungeons & Dragons throughout your time playing?
I have played, I've DM'd, and I've also written several campaigns of my own.
Okay.
Yeah, I've mainly just been a player. I've been thinking about, being a DM at some point soon, but I haven't done that yet.
Okay. For someone like me, who's a little unfamiliar with Dungeons & Dragons, if you could explain to somebody who might have not played Dungeons & Dragons before, how would you explain it?
Yeah, so Dungeons & Dragons is a tabletop role-playing game where you use dice and character sheets with stats used to express the characters that you're playing. And it's not really a game that you win or lose. The only way that you really win is by telling a fun story and having a good time. And the only way you really lose is if you show up with the intention of proving you're the best or not having a good attitude about it.
Mm-hmm.
I really think the game is all about creativity. It's about creating a story with your friends while also being a part of it.
Awesome. And can you tell us the difference between a one-shot and a campaign?
Yeah, so the difference between a one-shot and a campaign is a one-shot is a short story. It is one session that can stand alone by itself. A campaign is usually several meetings, several sessions long, and it can go for months or even years. And yeah, a lot of times a full campaign will have arcs, which are chapters almost of a story.
Okay.
She said it exactly how I would.
just like that. And rumored there was a one-shot that took place not too long ago. We actually have a tape for that. Yeah, so what's going on here?
Yeah, so in this campaign, we started off, the party met in the town of Amstelhaven, which is in the universe that I write in. So Amstelhaven is a seaport trade city with a big university.
Okay. And
the party met here, and a gentleman was like, "Can you please come help my village nearby? This terrible monster or something has been stealing away children from our village." So then they go to the village and they talk with a couple different characters or NPCs, non-playable characters, gathered information and realized that they needed to go to the Harvest Abbey, which was an abandoned cathedral outside of town. So they made the journey all the way to the Harvest Abbey and fought a creature known as the Midday Man and his Ragnwolf, a spectral hunter and his wolfhound who had kidnapped these children. So they arrived at the Harvest Abbey, found the children, defeated the Midday Man and the Ragnwolf, and brought the children safely back home.
Awesome. So yeah, that's basically everything that we're seeing there. Got some good overview shots as well of the whole landscape of it specifically. We also wanted to talk about the costumes a little bit, the ones that you're wearing right now. It appears that you're wearing some cosplay outfits. I don't know if you can talk about what inspired you for these ones specifically, where you did find the spots you did need to put it on. I don't know if you guys could just talk about them for a little bit.
Yeah, I guess my cosplays have never really been D&D related. However, I would like to in the future, but this is actually a character from the video game Fallout 4. Her name is Piper Wright. She is a reporter, and this is just a lot of pieces that I ended up buying and altering myself because at this point in time I had didn't know much about sewing. So there's just a lot of weathering and personal things that I've added to this based off of pictures that I took from the game and research that I've done.
Okay.
Yeah.
And yours?
So my character is Avantika from Critical Role, which is a podcast and live stream. A group of professional voice actors play Dungeons and Dragons, and this is one of the NPCs from one of their arcs.
Okay. And the hat look, can I actually see the hat?
Yeah,
look
for sure.
over the feathers and everything. But yeah, where'd you find this one specifically? Just at a store, or?
I purchased the hat from a store, yeah. And then I had some feathers, and I arranged the feathers in the way that I wanted them.
So you made the feathers on there too. It didn't come all like this?
Yeah, it did not come like that. I added the feathers. And then
awesome.
I also,
Okay, while we're on the hat subject, can I put yours on too?
Yeah, sure.
Just check that. That one's cool too. And where'd you get yours at?
This actually came with this jacket. It was meant to be a costume, but it was very plain, so I did a lot of altering by ripping parts of it out so it looked weathered and adding the paper onto it.
Yeah, to show the like a press hat. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really cool. Now I just
Here.
toss it like
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah, perfect. So, excuse me here. We also have some other photos of some cosplay outfits. I don't know if you guys want to comment on those as well, but we'll get those rolling in a sec. Yeah, those.
So this is the cosplay that I'm wearing right now. Yeah.
I have a few more here, but yeah, it looks like, yep, there's those.
Yeah, this is from a Halloween thing my brother and I did a couple years back, where we dressed up as plague doctors. That was pretty fun.
So some of it Dungeons and Dragons related, others just costume fun.
Yeah, not all of it is specifically Dungeons and Dragons related.
But yeah, I believe we have, yep, there's another one there.
Yes, this is what I have on now.
Right there, yeah.
As you can see, I've got a prop gun that I made out of like styrofoam that you use for fake plants, that green stuff.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Took
yeah.
me hours and hours, and as we got home from that convention, it broke in half. It was really sad, but I was at a convention in this costume in downtown Des Moines.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that one's cool. They have the scarf and everything. Oh, there's another one.
Yeah, so this is me as Elsa from Frozen.
Oh, yep. I thought it was recognizable. I couldn't put it on, but
one of my favorite movies. This was I worked on sewing this with my aunt, and I did some detailing. You can see on the bodice, the chest, that I did some detailing with embroidery thread, and then I wore this to a event for children with disabilities. We held a pageant, and they had the Disney princesses come and visit.
okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys just ever go out like on a Friday night, like to a restaurant or to the mall or see a movie with any costumes on or anything fun like that?
Generally to cons, but from time to time, shenanigans will occur.
Yeah.
Yeah. The sad thing is that with COVID, there hasn't been many conventions lately to wear costumes to. However, like there's events such as the one that I went to, as well as, you can sometimes just go out with your friends and take, pictures, or a lot of people have moved to TikTok, they make TikTok videos with their costumes.
Oh, I bet.
So that is sort of what people have been up to now with cosplay, now that conventions aren't available.
I don't know if there'd be any virtual conventions specifically. I know the one in San Diego, I can't think of its name right now, but that one's on virtual, so I guess you can just be chilling in your room, rocking the outfits. But yeah, that's a really cool way to express Dungeons and Dragons. I guess to finish, why should people look into Dungeons and Dragons if they're curious about it and want to learn more about it?
It's a really great way to get to know people and hang out and create something fun,
Yeah, I've met a lot of new people just through Dungeons and Dragons, and it's a good way to express creativity. It's sort of like a video game, but you are in complete control and you can change anything you want.
That's awesome. I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you both for sharing and being with us today. Well, that seems like that's all the time we have left for today. Thanks again to Mike Blanchard for telling us about the awesome comic store and shedding the light into the comic book world. And also thank you to Steph Nice and Megan Gilchrist for sharing experiences with Dungeons and Dragons. And of course, a huge thank you to our audience at home. This has been At You and I. We'll see you next time.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man. Is he strong? Listen, bud, he's got radioactive blood. Can he swing from a thread? Take a look overhead. Hey there goes the Spider-Man. In the chill of night, at the scene of a crime, like a streak of light, he arrives just in time. Spider-Man, Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Wealth and fame, he's ignored. Action is his reward. To him, life is a great big hang-up. Wherever there's a hang-up, you'll find the Spider-Man.